I will be the first to admit I was absolutely shocked by how good this guy tested downfield.
The idea that he is a gadget receiver or a slot only guy, I mean, I just flat out disagree with that.
Look at the release.
There's your separation.
Great route.
Stutter and go. Gets by clean.
That is unbelievable.
May be the greatest catch I've ever seen.
Let's start with Jayden Reed, okay? Again, we're legally obligated to talk about a Green Bay receiver. We're going to talk about Jayden Reed here today. 75 targets, 55 receptions, 857 yards, and 6 touchdowns last year for Jayden Reed. A very solid 73% catch rate. I'm actually surprised, Matt, that he had a 73% catch rate considering all the drops and struggles that he had with that in 2024. But can I say this, man? When you pop on this guy's profile, 67% success rate on the 9 route, 81.6% success rate on the post route, and nearly 73% success rate on the corner. In total, and by the way, not a small sample, in total, this is about a third of all of the routes that he ran last year, all of them on these 3, the 9, post, and corner. So he's getting downfield, and man, he is winning down there.
Yeah, 22% of his routes were post routes. The fact that, I mean, that's almost a quarter of his route tree alone. Crazy. It's up from 16.2% route percentage in his first season. Man, I mean, that is a crazy statistic all on his own, considering also that 81% success rate. Like, that guy gets open downfield. Like, the idea that he is a gadget receiver or a slot only guy, I mean, I just flat out disagree with that. Okay. I mean, I flat out disavow the idea that he is some limited gadget receiver. This is not, Kadarius Toney or Wan'Dale Robinson. I mean, you knew I was going to slam on Wan'Dale somehow here. These creative touch guys. Yeah. They give him these created touches. He gets a lot of screens. His screen route percentage was actually also up from 8.1% to 11.7% in his second season. So that is interesting. Sacrifices some other areas there. So he does get some, he certainly gets a good, healthy bit of layups there in terms of the screens and the created touch stuff. He's a dynamic rusher of the football in terms of the wide receiver position, one of the most productive runners of the football at that wide receiver position. But this guy can win downfield. He can win on real routes. Okay. The post route percentage, the corner route percentage, the dig route success rate of 79% is very high. He can absolutely rip it downfield. And there were just a lot of plays left on the field in terms of Jayden Reed is wide open and he just doesn't get the football or doesn't get an accurately thrown football, which, I think one thing that, and look, I'm glad we're talking about Jayden Reed. I know that people joke on us sometimes for talking about the Packers wide receivers, and we've joked on ourselves for talking about them too much. Sure. But it is worth talking about, Jayden Reed, because he is a guy that I think, two things here. One, I part of me thinks that we just are completely misunderstanding the Packers as an offense because they were so run heavy last year. But we also have to remember that their quarterback got hurt in week 1. And I just don't think he was ever really fully healthy last year. He had some flare-ups at points. Okay. So I think there's just a chance that we might be misunderstanding what the Packers passing offense is as a whole because of that.
It's very interesting.
And there are just a lot of times where I thought Love just didn't pull the trigger on these open throws to Jayden Reed down the football field, where maybe they go back and they study in the offseason and say, hey, that's an area where we could really get the most out of Jayden there. And we'll talk more about that. And then the second thing I want to say too, and I think it's important to talk about this because in those first couple weeks, the game, there were 4 weeks 1 to 4. There were one game. Week 1, Jordan Love played. Week 4, Jordan Love played. Jayden Reed was awesome, 130 plus yards in both of those games. I definitely got over my skis a little bit, boosted Jayden Reed up the dynasty rankings, said hey, maybe he's as good as some of these other great young receivers in the league. and he just wasn't that productive throughout the course of the year. It wasn't like steady production, right? So
Right.
I think the listeners, like if the listeners probably put in the survey, like, what's up with Jayden Reed? We all went and traded for him in Dynasty. So let's talk about Jayden Reed. So it's I know I joke about the fact we talk about the Packers too much, but yeah, I think it's worth this conversation because I do think people would be surprised at that post route, particularly like that's his most commonly run route. It is one of 3 routes that's above the NFL average in addition to the screen and the flat, and he has that great success rate. So I do just wonder about the Love point in particular, if like a fully healthy Jordan Love makes this passing offense as a whole look different in 2025.
By the way, in regards to historical numbers here, and Matt, I don't have the updated version, but the reception perception historical data that I've got here, 22% post route participation. That would rank as the second highest all time in reception perception history. You just don't see that. As a matter of fact, over the last 10 years, Matt, it is very rare to see somebody go over, again, we're not talking 20% because there's just not that many players that even over 20%, but even over 17% over the last 10 years. I mean, it's a very small list, maybe 5 or 6 players in total.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the historical database right now. Don't worry, buddy. Nobody that I've charted so far has beat the 22% from this past year on Jayden Reed. But like, yeah, there's a lot of like Tyreek Hill. I'm looking at like multiple Mike Wallace, like John Brown seasons. Jameson Williams from 2023 is in there over at 18.3%. So yeah, it's
Green Beckham, baby. Let's go.
DGB. Yeah. So, I mean, there's Martavis Bryant, Christian Watson. I love that Martavis Bryant and Christian Watson are right next to each other in the historical database here, because I think that's like
very,
so right. I've still said that Christian Watson is very similar to Martavis Bryant, but yeah, I think the Packers, that's where I'm kind of hung up on this idea about we're not really understanding the offense to what maybe they want to be, because like they've got Jayden Reed who wins downfield. They've got Christian Watson when he's healthy. We know he does win downfield. He's a little inconsistent, but he wins downfield. They drafted Matthew Gold in the first round. Like and Jordan Love can push the football. I really do think they want to be like a deep strike offense, and I think Reed can be more of a part of that maybe than people think.
That's why I'm surprised that when he's getting open, he's not getting that football. Because if there's anything I've noticed about Jordan Love is, man, he loves to bomb it when he can. And again, I'm not going back and watching the all 22, so I don't know if he's under pressure, what's happening on these different plays. But man, Jayden Reed, shockingly good downfield. So I think that is something certainly to know. And to your point, I think the football community at large would more likely put Jayden Reed in the gadget bucket than a downfield winner bucket. I don't think people really see that with Jayden Reed. And again, I'm showing my own ignorance here. I was, again, shocked by how good some of these numbers were when you're looking at when he wins downfield. So, okay, by the way, I don't blame people for thinking he's a more gadgety type of player because of his utilization. They have him in motion a lot. They've got him in the backfield a lot. And those players tend to be gadgety type of players. So I get it. From an optic standpoint, I understand why people might believe that with Jayden Reed. This just goes back to, and again, I've been hammering this for over a year now, Jayden Reed just needs to be utilized like a just full field separator, wide receiver. I don't care where you line him up, but you got to have him on the football field, and you got to just let this guy work. And again, when I say full field, I mean it, right? Because again, we talked about shockingly good downfield. Well, shoot, in the intermediate area, 79% success rate on the digs, 79% success rate on the slants. That's a little closer to the line of scrimmage. Again, these are good, not amazing scores, but I think when you take all of these scores in totality, Matt, he can win deep, certainly. He can win intermediate on the digs, and he can win short on these slants as well. There are opportunities to get this guy the football because he is separating at all 3 levels.
Yeah, stat from Rich Rebar, the great Lord Reeves over at Sharp Football. He says that Jayden Reed has run run a total of 7 routes from 1 to 2 wide receiver sets like on the field over the last 2 seasons. That is 2.6% of the team dropbacks in those sets. And like, look, I just don't have a good explanation for this because like we're looking at Jayden Reed from a success rate versus man coverage standpoint, 74th percentile in reception perception, 72.9%. Perfectly fine. 80th percentile success rate versus press. Now he doesn't see a lot of press coverage, but that's 76% success rate versus press. Like he can do it, man. There's a wide disparity in terms of Jayden Reed's ability to like his production against zone coverage is really high. He's one of the most productive, most efficient receivers against zone coverage, but the man coverage numbers do drop off. But I don't think that's indicative of Reed as a player. I just think he doesn't get a lot of targets against man coverage because of his role. So there's that, but also just like, again, there's plays left on the field. Some of it's by him. We'll talk about that. The drops, big problem last year, big problem with the drops last season, but like there are plays on the field where I think he needs to get the football more. And I do think he needs to be on the football field more often. Cause I don't even think he's like a bad blocker either. That's the thing. I don't see him out there getting like his ass kicked as a blocker. I just wonder if it's like I kind of wonder if it's from like a top down sort of, hey, this is what we philosophically, not even like a Matt LaFleur thing, just because the Packers are so inherent on like wide receiver size, right? They have these very strict thresholds with receivers. Reed is actually an outlier weight wise in terms of what Green Bay usually takes in the drafts, to the point that when he was drafted, he was like listed at 187. And then he quickly was like, oh no, I'm actually up to 195, because Packers like never draft under 195-pound receivers and stuff like that. So very, very interesting there. But yeah, I mean, that ability to beat man coverage is there. I think he really needs to be on the football field more. But yeah, so I agree with you. I think that is a thing. Can we talk a little bit about though what went wrong for Reed as an individual before the people come at us about just glazing Jayden Reed again? I think there's a couple of things that
he's so dang good. Why is he not on the football? This drives me absolutely freaking crazy. What the hell, bro? Like, I've been talking about this. This is like the 17th time we've had this damn conversation.
I know.
And every single time I get so heated because, golly, it just don't make no damn sense. Anyways, okay.
Especially because, sorry, I know I said I wanted to move on, but especially because, like, this has been the thing with him. Like, beating man coverage has been a thing for him in all 3 of his RP profiles, prospect, rookie to second year. He was an 87th percentile success rate versus press player in college in his prospect profile. Like, he wasn't some like create a touch, like Luther Burden type of prospect. Like, he was not used that way. So like, I really do believe we've seen more than enough from Reed that he does not need to just be in this gadgety receiver. Hopefully, like drafting Savion Williams, they can do that with him, but he's like a big body. I bet he ends up playing as an outside receiver and Reed gets all these like scheming things. Who knows?
Oh my God. Kill me, man. Like, come on, man. This don't make no sense. And by the way, and let me just say, by the way, last thing I'll say about this one, I promise, I swear to God, we will move on. But those man scores, Matt, that is exactly the kind of player, the exact kind of separator they need in that wide receiver room. We like Romeo Doubs, not a great man beater. Yep. Christian Watson, whatever he's doing, he's not a great man beater. It's like, okay, like, get Jayden Reed on the football field, even in 2 wide receiver sets, and let this guy operate. Let this guy get open in high leverage downs, like 3rd and 7. You need a first down. Get him out there. Get him out there. Let him get open and throw him the damn football.